1,000%. I totally agree with you. A lot of times agents, they get caught up with, oh, I can only post when it's about a sale, about a listing, an escrow or a closing, right? And that's social proof as, okay, you're doing business, right? But what is your social proof of like who you are as a person, right? Yeah, I coach long snappers here in San Diego. I sell real estate. I'm an uncle, I'm a husband, I'm a son, I got family here. So I've been really blessed. I'm Drew Ferris. I'm born and raised here in San Diego in North County. I've been in real estate for the last 8 years now. Before that, I was in football. I was a long snapper, basically hiked the ball, the kicker and punter. I ended up going to University of Florida. I'm a double gator, actually. So what that means is undergrad and grad school, have a degree. Pursued professional football for honestly like 7 or 8 years. I was in and out, just camps, workouts, signed with a couple teams, played preseason. At the same time, I got licensed in real estate while I was pursuing football. And so I've been licensed for 8 years now. And my real estate journey, I've been ups and downs, just kind of how football is, but it's been really rewarding. And just being from here, it's really nice and able to help people in the community. It's definitely surprised me in how rewarding it is, not like financially, but just being able to help people with a difficult time in their life. It's like they usually go through a stressful time in their life when they're making a move. Either maybe it's a divorce or a struggling relationship, or they're, moving on from one stage of life to the next. So, or having people open up and achieve their dreams and go from a condo to a single family home, and seeing that evolve and grow. It's a nice, rewarding career, to be honest. So I really appreciate all the people who've worked with me, because it's really nice, and I keep those relationships. I go to dinner with my past clients at their houses. I keep in touch with them. We text, we talk, we stay in touch. So it's fun for me to kind of grow not only my sphere, but just my relationships in my life. So how I got into real estate was when I was cut from the NFL. I just got cut from the Seattle Seahawks. I came home. I had no idea what I was going to do. My neighbor was like, well, football doesn't last forever. Why don't you do something while you try to get back in? You could do it. So real estate, I think you'd be great at it. You're from here. You're good with people. You have a lot of contacts in the area. So that's initially how I got started. Was with a really small brokerage at first, just learning how to navigate the MLS and, call on expired listings and, just trying to get my feet wet with real estate. I didn't really know what I was doing. And then over time, I just did a few deals with my friends and family first, and then it evolved from there. I've been licensed for 8 years. I would say I'm more heavily in the last 5. I would say since COVID. That's when I've really been 2 feet in, and but I did my first transaction in 2018. A month later, I got called back into the NFL with Tampa Bay. So then I went and did that. I played in the spring league in 2019, and then 2020 is when I really dove in 2 feet into real estate full time, and been doing it ever since.
So, I watch a lot of real estate TV shows.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
So, I was just wondering, like, if you've seen any, and like, how is that reality, or is it totally different?
My wife watches a lot of real estate TV shows, Selling Sunset, right? Most famous one. And some of it is real, but most of it's just a lot of fluff. I mean, it's a lot of drama. The way they put deals together, it just makes it seem way too easy. It's like, oh, show this house and okay, 5 million sold. Like, it's just, it's not, there's a lot of details within contracts that don't get obviously disclosed or explained on TV. There's no time for that. All the time is for the drama, right? Who said what, right, behind my back and all this stuff. So it's really facey. It kind of gives agents somewhat of a bad name, I think. But all that drama is not real in real life and real estate. Real in real life and real estate. But those reality TV shows, they serve a purpose, right? But it's fun to watch. You get to see the houses, and some of those people on the show are famous artists or musicians or athletes and things like that, which is really cool. So and those houses, especially luxury homes, they're easier to sell to an extent because the repairs are far less. They're usually maintained really well. There is a lot of disclosure, right? And those homes are up on the hill, so it might be tough to sell those sometimes, but they're not cakewalk deals, but there's agents out there doing a lot more work for a lot less money. Let's put it that way. I would say single family homes is what I typically do. For a while, I was doing condos and things like that. And so I got better at, making sure to evaluate HOA docs and, rules and regulations and CC&Rs and stuff like that. But I would say luxury is typically what I've done in the higher price point, thankfully, because my sphere has allowed me to do so. I've sold between, $400,000 places up to almost $3 million, but I've kind of sold everywhere in between. But I would say single family homes and then more towards the luxury side would be where I specialize in. That's a great question. The housing market today, it's really lopsided, right? I get that question all the time. How's the market? Well, it's a tough market, and it's tough for everyone but sellers, right? I mean, I would say right now, when the price matches product with homes right now, they're flying, right? I mean, my listings are getting, at least 15 to 20, 25 inquiries over, a few weeks' time or less, especially when it's priced right. Phone's ringing a lot. So, as a seller, if you position yourself well with just a reasonable price that matches the home that you're selling, the product you're selling, and you have great photos, great showing availability, the right agent behind there to kind of leverage your negotiation, you can be sold within 5 days, 5 to 10 days max, depending on, how things go. But overpriced homes, they sit in any market, right? So you see a lot of people say, oh, this house has been sitting. Well, there's usually a story or reason behind it. Maybe they've got a few offers, but, seller wants more or whatnot. But the market right now, like, it's tough for buyers. Like, buyers are competing. I get my listing in Oceanside here on Lofty Grove. I mean, I'm getting a ton of people coming down from Irvine right now. A lot of people from Orange County. They're just getting priced out and squeezed out up there when, the average home price for a single family home in Irvine or Orange County can be $1 million to $1.2 million. And so when they come down here and see, 800, 900,000, it's much more attractive for them. So right now, the market, it's a healthy market. It's just really lopsided. It's really tough. People are still locked into low rates. I would say inventory historically is down to like a third to what it was like 5 or 6 years ago. So normally, like, let's say 5 or 6 years ago, we'd have about 4,800, 5,000 homes. We're probably kind of around the 1,700-ish mark, I think, 2,000 of homes, which is, a lot less. So homes are sitting not because they're not getting offers. Let's put it that way. So if you see a home sitting, it's probably either a price thing or it could be something going on the seller side. Maybe they are contingent upon buying another place, so they haven't sold yet, so it sits for a while. But the market overall, it's tough. It's competitive, and you really got to work with somebody who knows how to navigate it. Right? This isn't like a rookie market. I think this is a market for a skilled sailor. You need somebody who's transacting, who has transacted in the past, who's crafty, somebody who's on the phones. If your phone rings during a podcast interview, answer it. Right? So that's a little summary of the market right now. But I wouldn't be afraid of it. I would say right now, rates are pretty high. I mean, they've stayed high, so that's what's stopping a lot of people from buying and selling. But I would say, if you really need to make the move, this is a need to move market, not a want to move market, right? So a lot of people want to move. They want that extra bedroom, right? They want that single family home, or they want that yard, right? But if they don't need to do it, right? If they don't have another baby on the way, or if they don't need to move up to Oceanside from Chula Vista for a job or something like that, then people are staying put, right? And that's kind of why we're seeing inventory levels to be suppressed, because of that rate lock that people are in, and it's expensive to move right now. It's tough. So if you're not bringing a significant amount of money to close, even though people are still buying FHA and little down payment assistance, and that you can do it, but your mortgage will reflect a higher payment, right? So I would say my advice for people that are looking to move, there's no perfect time. You can't time the market, right? No one has a crystal ball. But if you come up with a game plan, figure out what to do moving forward, and work with the right agent, there's a lot of good agents out there, then you can do it. like, why should I work with you? And I'll start with the selling side. I have experience working with sellers at a higher price point and a lower price point, but the thing about a listing agent, and I used to think before I got into the seller side, because young agents typically start with the buyers, right? Buyers become sellers eventually. And so younger agents are typically buyers agents, right? And I used to think, wow, I could list a home the same way that a more older and experienced agent could. And as I got to work with more sellers, I realized, well, it takes a little bit of a different animal, different beast to be a listing agent, because there's a lot of moving parts being thrown your way, not just with the contract, but with obviously the showing inquiries, making sure the home is, in its best light, and then setting expectations for the sellers, right? And then when you're holding open houses, and if you're doing in-person showings, you're educating every single buyer, even every agent, not only on the property itself, but the surrounding homes. So a buyer, when they ready to put an offer in, are really educated and put their best foot forward from the start. That would be one. And then also having really good relationships with the agents on the other side. And because I think when you're selling a property, we're all working together here, right? We're not against each other, right? It's not us against them. I think we're all need to, be working together. So I would say my leadership skills in a transaction, I think, would be, in my honesty, my transparency, I think would be reasons why people should or want to work with me, but also just making sure that no stone is left unturned. And what I mean by that is, I create a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet with all my listings, like the agents who inquired, the date they are showing, the feedback we received, and I have it all listed down. So when I'm advising my clients, I'm advising them, okay, this is what the market is telling us, right? This is a detailed feedback sheet, right? It's not just, I heard from this agent here and that agent there, and this buyer at the open house said here. Like, no, exactly what the market's saying in terms of the price and the product that we're putting out there. So I think what separates me is just helping people navigate and make decisions about how to position yourself in the market, and ultimately making sure buyers are putting their best foot forward. We're not leaving any money on the table, right, in negotiation. We want to really, and I don't want to say squeeze buyers, that's not the right word, but just making sure that, you've owned the property a long time, you've earned a lot of equity in this house, and making sure you get every penny of that for your next move or your next transition, whether it be putting that money in, a different type of market, or you're buying another upsizing, right? You just want to get the most value for your home. So I would say I don't leave any stone unturned when I go through the process, and then setting expectations for my sellers and what they can expect to see in the marketplace. So yeah, I mean, investor wise, I have some investor clients. And I do a lot of cold calling, right? That's how I met you. So I call around in the neighborhood, and not just for investors, but I call for, retail buyers, end user buyers. I've actually shown multiple properties to buyers that I've had for coming soons or off market homes, or known about properties that not even have hit the MLS yet, maybe not even signed with another agent yet, right? So just getting those type of opportunities and following up with people, and trying to connect buyers and sellers, whether it's on market or off market, I like to do that. It's part of my job, right? So most of my time, I won't say most of it, but a good chunk of time I spend is prospecting, calling, networking with other agents, seeing what's up and coming. So yeah, if you're out there right now and you're shopping for a home, if you're an end user buyer, investor, hit me up. Like, send me a message in my DM. I mean, tell me what you're looking for. I'm happy to call around and see if we can do something. Best football moment. I love that. My first snap in preseason with Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We were at Miami Dolphin Stadium. It was 2018. It was a field goal snap. We scored a touchdown. I run out on the field. I get set, and I snap the ball, and it was a good snap and good kick and everything. And after that moment, because it felt really surreal under the lights, and it's a pro game. I hadn't been under the lights in 44 months. It took me 4 years from when I graduated college to, 4 or 3/4 years from when I graduated college. My last game for Florida Gators in, January 1st, 2015, to when I got my first preseason snap in the fall of 2018. So it took me a long time to get on the field. A lot of workouts I went to got sent home, getting cut, 2 years prior, 5 days before the first preseason game. So I hadn't played in a game in a long time, right? So that first snap against the Dolphins in Miami, it was a very surreal moment for me. And it really, I'll never forget it, because it was a symbol of how much work I put in to get to that point. All of the the downs and the getting cut, the getting sent home, how close I was prior, and the belief that I had to have to even get to that point, because there was many times I wanted to quit, walk away. Okay, I can't see this happening. I don't know how this can happen. And it ultimately did happen at the preseason level. So that was a really surreal moment for me. Yeah, most people don't know that about me. Most people, when I tell them, oh, I play football, it's like, oh, most people, or professional football, then most people think, oh, right after college, you got right into the NFL and then you got cut and whatever. No, I didn't get signed my first year out of college. I didn't get signed. I got signed my second year. I didn't play preseason. I got cut 5 days before the first preseason game my second year with the Seahawks. So that was really devastating time in my life. Third year, I didn't get signed at all. So I just had about four workouts or something like that with a couple teams. And then it was 2018. That was 2017. So 2018, I got signed with Tampa Bay, and I made it all the way through those 4 preseason games. And that was like the farthest I had made it in the NFL. But that was a very symbolic time for me, because I just went through from 2015, up the down after the draft. I didn't get signed, and then got signed, and then got cut. And then I didn't get signed at all in 2017. I got signed in 2018, right? And then finally played. It was just a very surreal moment for me, because I just didn't see it happen. I couldn't see it happening. I think like God behind the scenes was making it, orchestrating things that I didn't know what was, And so that was like really surreal moment for me. I will never forget that first play, that first play. It just was like, it really hit me. It really like, wow, like it happened, because so many days is like, dude, I don't know how this happened, man. So, that was you asked me for my most memorable moment. Another good moment was, I was playing against my former teammate. He was a punt returner. His name was Brandon Powell. Maybe if you're watching, hold on to your seatbelt. So he's playing for the Lions at the time, 2018 preseason, and I'm running down the field, and I see him. He catches the ball, and he jukes me out. He like puts a foot in the ground, and he's a really short, fast guy. I feel my soul like leave my chest, right? I mean, I got shook. I got shook, and I'm leaning to the right. I stick my left foot out, and I trip him up, and he gets tripped, and I tackled him, but I tripped him. And they put, they said, oh, number 41, Drew Ferris on the tackle, and on the loudspeaker, in the stadium. And I was like, oh my God, like I can't believe I got credit for that tackle. I just got absolutely shook out of my shoes, in that moment. So that was a memorable moment too. I won't forget that one. I coach young long snappers out in San Diego right now. So I got about 10 to 15 guys that I see, once or twice a month or something like that. And it's fun for me to pass on, the tools that help me succeed. So it's fun to see these guys grow and develop and get opportunities and, play like that. So I coach long snappers here in San Diego. I sell real estate. I'm an uncle, I'm a husband, I'm a son, I got family here. So I've been really blessed, I would say, for, being from here and having a good sphere here and having good people around me. And, it's a fun time here in San Diego. If you're from out of the area and you're thinking about a place to move to, this is a good place. Good people.